Hello and welcome once again to another Twitch session that I've turned into a time lapse. I've taken that basic image that I had of the cars and I was trying to do a few other cars. This time I'm going to do American muscle cars. So I'm going to do the GT 390, the Dodge Charger and Challenger because those are by far my favorite muscle cars. So as you see this, as you gradually see me building up this Mustang, understand that it's going to look wrong. And it's going to look wrong because I don't get the shape right away. I get the lines to look like the Mustang, but the proportions aren't exactly right. And there's a bit of fighting on my side, whether or not I'm getting there, and I'm sort of doubting myself as well. So what I do is I just move to a different car. That's what I do. I move to a different car, and once I'm there, I can kind of come back to this and see what's wrong about it. So the Pico 8 palette, again, very versatile, but I was finding it difficult to see this car being blue with that bright blue that you had there on the bottom of the palette, in the bottom corner of the palette. I don't see that as the highlight for this blue. So I decide to go for an olive green car, the same used in Bullitt, because this is the model that they use in Bullitt with Steve McQueen. But again, I don't really feel it. So I decide instead to go for the color from I think it was the Mach 4 Mustang on the movie Gone in 60 Seconds, the original one from the 1970s. And I think it was in an orange, either yellow or orange Mustang. So I kind of go for orange. I feel that the relationship between the dark orange and the bright orange and the dark red or violet actually works well. So I'm able to build the car using those colors. And as soon as I'm happy with the colors, I can kind of go and say, you know what, I'm going to try a different color set and kind of get that to work. If not, I'll just keep along with these. Now, what I'm gradually doing is I'm building up the hood and I'm lifting it up and up and up and up, and I'm destroying the proportions of the car. What you see there is I just painted that brown, that grayish brown on the windshield, and I left the negative space being the reflector mirror on the top and some of the structures that lead from the door up to the roof. And those show through the glass, and it looks like the glass is transparent, but they're really just shapes painted on. I just painted the negative space on it, and it helps sell the idea that that's glass. So now I think there was a point I was looking for a reference on the Charger because I have an idea of what that car looks like, but you don't always trust, especially if you're doing a real world thing. Don't trust your memory. Have reference. And the Charger is a car that does not look attractive on this angle at all. It's a car that's meant to be looked at from a camera with perspective, not an orthogonal view, which is what I'm doing. So I decide that this one I'm going to do a black. Well, one of the reasons is the main famous Charger that is from Dukes of Hazzard. It's orange or this reddish orange. And I really don't want to do that because the Mustang is already orange. So I want to do this in black. But black is supposed to be very reflective. And the color for the highlight that you see on the roof is the color that I think was most adequate. Sadly, it's also the same color as the background, which I can change. But at this point, I'm really just going for sticking with that color or that background color. So what I do is I add an outline, which is something that I'll give up on the Mustang for some of it. But for right now, it looks within the range of colors on the Charger. Again, the proportions are a bit off. And I add that dark blue at the top there almost as a reflection because the Charger is actually a 3-surface car. Well, it's not really 3 surfaces on the side, but it does curve. So what I'm doing there is a air intake, like a supercharged air intake. And here you see me fix the proportions. And that sort of brings the car a bit more back to what it's supposed to be. So again, I move on to the Challenger, again, because I feel like I'm not doing the thing right. And the Challenger is the first one that I decidedly go for the right colors right away. So I decide to draw the shape of the highlight of the Charger. And that shape is actually sometimes used as a vinyl decoration, right? As a paint job on the car, where they take that shape and add those, and that shape kind of is the reflection of the color of the light if it's lower. So the front of the car, the front grille of the Charger is slightly wider at the center, so a bit thicker at the center. And I just do that by getting the measurement of the lines at the sides and then increase that measurement at the center. The wheels, the windshield and windows already draw in gray. and I'm trying to get that highlight color from, oh, here you see me fix the proportions on the Mustang again, because I kind of realized what I did wrong on this car, and that made me see that I did something wrong on the other one. Also, people in the chat, this was actually quite an active chat. It's a really, really, really nice session of streaming that I did. The people were suggesting things. They were going, oh, maybe it's this or maybe it's that. So I would try that out, and actually in some situations I would actually find an answer, and some people would suggest stuff, and so that was really, really helpful. So the Charger, again, it's a very tall car. All the American cars, American muscle cars, are actually quite tall, but I was looking at a reference from a lowrider version of the Charger, which is wrong of me. So now what I did, and one thing I noticed with the Charger is that if I do a highlight on the corners, I can kind of have this idea of reflective paint. So I do that, and I kind of do that to just to break the spaces. The more cut lines, the more shape and color changes that we can do in such a limited palette. It helps because the palette being limited, it doesn't allow for much variation. So you have to make the variation with the shapes, and that breaks up the cars into different clusters of pixels, and that helps everything look a bit better. I'm doing some final adjustments here, and I think I still do some after the stream, and this is the final result. They turned out better than I had them at the end of the stream because I did a few fixes. But yeah, it was super fun to do, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Take care. See you next time.